Hello, everybody. It's Probably Red, and today we've got another episode of Notorious Solo Roleplay. Okay, so we just turned that up a little bit. Hopefully that fixes the audio. Okay, so we're starting over with a new exploration. Our favors at 2, our notorieties at 3. We've got 0 motivation, but we've got a mission. We're trying to find Arcturus before he escapes. Yep. So our main character here is let me actually change that because it's a little bit loud, right? Is it too loud? Is it like too echoey? I think that's fine. I think it's fine. Anyways, moving on. So last thing we did is we fought good old Mr. Silver Sand, I believe is what we called him. A Shoggoth. I guess they were working for the Tech Gala, and they were actually working for Arcturus to kind of wipe out any info that they had about Arcturus. Basically, wiping his file clean. We got in a fight with them. We didn't, end up killing them or anything, but we did win the fight and, escape. But we didn't gather any information about Arcturus's information. We just kind of find out that he was paid to erase info on Arcturus. That's basically it. I don't even know if we actually found that out in game or that's just what we determined happened. But we're gonna say that we ended up procuring the information. But he doesn't know where Arcturus is now. I just know he's still somewhere on the planet. Also, I mean, this creature's like 25 feet tall. We're just lucky we made it out of there alive. I think it was kind of a bit of a missed opportunity that we didn't have Ethan jump into the fight, but I think the fight went pretty well. It was kind of a close call. I mean, this creature's pretty monstrous, pretty terrifying individual, Mr. Silver Sand. But yeah, so we're moving on to another exploration. Right now we're still at the Tech Gala research post on Eladoko. And right now we have no companions, but we got all of our equipment. I don't think did we end up moving our ship? I think we might have. Anyway, did we? I'm surprised we didn't write that down. But yeah, I know. Oh yeah, and another thing, we had 4 Acrophians kind of interrogate us last time. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so let's roll on the exploration table here. Okay, where is it? There it is. Okay, let's start. D6. Got the red and pink dice here. We rolled 3. Our notoriety is 3. So we do not trigger the lead. But we roll on the exploration event table. Okay. So let's see. There's 3 different tables here, so let's see which one we roll on. Okay, we rolled a 2. Perfect. We're already here. Let's roll a different dice. Got the charcoal. We rolled a 5. All right, let's see what 5 is. Okay, okay. So did we encounter a hover bike? Yeah. Anyways, so it's a hover bike gang. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out what happens here. All right. So we catch the attention of a hover bike gang who ride up at speed and swiftly encircle us. So by this time, we've probably floated a little bit away. Okay, we rolled a 1. So we floated a bit away. We're still like within sight of the Tech Gala thing. These could be friends of Mr. Silversand, but maybe not. Could just be like, I don't know. If they could be okay. So let's start here. So we got this tech or this. We'll call it. They have propulsor bikes too. Propulsor bike. Propulsor biker gang. You know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like gangster gang. You know, it could be like Tech Gala. You know, they could just be a bike gang, but they have surrounded us. Kind of like thinking. So let's put some options here. So first of all, what do they have here? We rolled a 1. So their leader is hostile and fights in melee. What tall tale do the gang spread about our encounter? So let's see first if we are up to snuff in this fight. Because we have to fight this guy. So we're going to roll our combat dice. We're going to use our we use translucent gray for us. And then the biker will be this like gothic green. All right. And I have to actually check our current combat bonus. So let's see what that is. It's going to be, and it's melee. So it's going to be +2 for the first roll. So we got, that's a 5, and they got a 5, and they win on a tie. Kind of got to look up combat rules. But I think we can just lose a heart and keep fighting. Not reroll, but keep fighting. So let's kind of jump the gun here, especially since we're in melee. But we kind of want to see. So they start out. They're circling around us. We don't really know what they are, but we'll roll for that in a second. Let's see. So are they Tech Gala? Are they opportunists that prey on like stray Tech Gala researchers who go out unguarded at twilight hours? Because it's the middle of the night right now. So we're kind of like maybe in a bad spot. Maybe they're like they are on their way from the bar and they see a pirate so close to their home station that maybe they're these biker gang people, but maybe not necessarily like evil or even criminals. They might just live here and be in a propulsor biker gang, So yeah, let's just roll on that real quick. So we know we have a tied fight, which means we lost, but we gave up a heart. So he first. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so they are opportunists. These are some bad individuals. These guys are bad to the bone. All right, don't want to get copyrighted. So with that in mind, so they come circling around. We hear the, and then they're all like swarming around us out of nowhere. We're already rolling our eyes like, oh, who are these guys? Because we remember the Acrophians from earlier and think, oh, something must have popped up. But then we notice their propulsor bikes are like, I mean, the Acrophians had some spikes on them, but they were still like really nice, well maintained. These got spikes on them, and I guess the Acrophians would probably have some flames painted on theirs too. but these have got like some really edgy green flames. So, actually the bikes look very similar, so it probably makes sense that we would mix up the Acrofian Empire bikes and these opportunistic gangsters. In fact, they might have taken these bikes like off of some Acrofians and barely made it out alive, and they're probably wanted by the Empire. All right. So they've swarmed around us, and their leader doesn't really jump off the bike, but flies over my hover dinghy and slams into it with a machete. Luckily, he hit the paddle instead of slicing the hover dinghy open. And try as I might, I'm struggling to get out my stun mace again, because I was just fighting the Shogothian. I'm pretty exhausted. I'm also covered in burns because the flesh of a Shoggoth is literally acid, and a very high acid at that. So I'm covered in acid, like burns and stuff. Struggling to get my mace back out. And he's coming back around for another swipe. This time he's trying to cut me like head to toe. Let's see how I do. Holy. Okay, so they get +2. They rolled a 4, so they got a 6. Now, for my second hit, I get a +1, which puts me from a 6 to a 7. So by 1, I have, I bring up my stun mace and I hit him just on like just really a miraculous move. Hit him in the chin with the hilt of the mace, and he kind of pulls up, machete and all and bike and all, almost into like a wheelie. And then but he's not knocked out because he's got a plus heart too. So he kind of like spins midair, like kind of like a hover wheelie. And I could kind of feel the heat off of the propulsor, like burning me and kind of melting but not popping the hover dinghy. And he like just completely turns and almost lands back on me. And he's coming down for a final swipe, going for my head with a slice. And I get +1 on this one too. So let's see how we do. Oh, it's another tie. I rolled a 2 + 1, that's 3. And they rolled a 3. So they comes down and they slice my cheek, and I kind of fall backwards, blood gushing. It cut a lot deeper than I thought it did, like as I kind of just see blood fill up one of my eyes. And I fall back into the water, and I can kind of hear like through like the gurgling of the water, I can hear them cackling. And then next thing I know, they've popped my hover dinghy. And I kind of like feel stuff crawling around me, and I realize that there's all these like, I didn't realize this before, but where I'm at, there's like all of these plants, just like really shallow water. So I kind of like sink down and try to grab onto the roots so maybe they don't find me. But there is blood pouring into the water too. I kind of try to see through the darkness. And they do have lights coming from the propulsor engines too. Okay, so let's see the results of a fight. Because I'm pretty sure we did that right. But we just want to see how that happened. Okay, so we lost a fight. And we don't have any... Oh, wait a second. Ethan. Okay, first of all, let's see. Because they kind of did a one-on-one. Okay, so the target succeeded. So did they spare us? They did. Wait. No, we failed. Okay. So let's see. So we're going to roll a D8, and we're going to go by these options. But if we roll a 7 or an 8, Ethan shows up. Okay, we rolled a 2. Okay, so we have to choose whether we die and end the game, or if we get badly beaten up, leading to an injury or some damage to our equipment. And we get -1 star or -1 heart for the rest of the game. Okay. So we're not going to choose to end the game. And we kind of already have, we've sent the story in that direction already. We lost the hover dinghy. That's going to severely mess with our ability to travel. You know, we'll see what happens, but we're pretty much getting swept up with the current here. So I'm going to roll for it. I mean, I would think -1 heart, but we might get -1 star just because our equipment's damaged. So let's see. And they seem to have kind of lost interest. They didn't really spare us, but they think without the hover dinghy, we're pretty much dead. So on a 1, 2, or 3, we get -1 star. And on a 4, 5, or 6, -1 heart. Okay, so we get -1 heart. So let's go ahead and... So we're going to... Is there a thing where you can, like... I think there's a thing where you can cross out... You know what? It doesn't matter. We're just... Yeah, I forgot to do that. Isn't there a thing? I don't know how to do the draw a line through. All right, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can figure it out. Okay, so it's like Alt-Shift-5. So we just cross it off the cognac duster. Maybe like it was warm in kind of the set sun, swampy area. And we had taken off our duster, and when we gather our stuff back and try to like figure out everything, we realize we don't have our nice duster anymore, which is unfortunate because it was really nice. But we still have our rodeo hat, so we're good. All right. And we have our life, which is amazing. So Ethan didn't come to save us, but nonetheless, we did manage to survive. Really, traveling is going to be a lot harder. That didn't go well. So let's just go ahead and summarize. We got beat up by the propulsor bike gang boss. And yeah, our hover dinghy is destroyed. And so is our duster and our pride. So we kind of fight off the temptation to jump back up out of the water and curse them as they're riding off. We just want to remain low profile and try not to cause any problems and try to survive. All right. So, yeah, darn, lost the hover dinghy. That's going to make things a lot more complicated. So we're kind of drifting, and now we have, like, we kind of, like, enter and out of consciousness. We hold on until we kind of lose our breath for the most part, and we kind of see them gone. And we burst up to the surface, but we realize we're not anywhere near that base. We lost grip of that grass a while ago. We just have struggled with all of our strength to keep below the surface for as long as we could hold our breath. We don't really know where north is, and I guess we're about to find out where our destination is. All right, so let's see. Destination unknown. All right. Let's see where we're headed now. Roll a 6. Okay. You arrive at a fortified base or palace run by the controlling faction. Okay. So let's see, because I kind of made it a little bit confusing for myself here, because I've got it like set up like this, so it's like Elidoko and Avinian are kind of organized in their own thing. Instead of being like the order here. So that's, oops. Yeah, so that's a bit confusing. Okay, so it's a fortified base or a palace. Yeah. Okay, so what would be a fortified base or palace? Should make sense out of the order of the holder. Maybe this is like a palace, but I think last time we said Holder Gate Station. So, all right. So first of all, we're gonna gain a notoriety. We're gonna say we have somehow floated back to Holder Gate Station. So there's a notoriety. I was writing in pencil. It's probably a good idea. All right. And it is 4 or higher. So a hostile guard approaches. So they're hostile. They are like, they have some reason that they just straight up, they see a problem. So we basically have floated up. And we're looking rough. We got our eye patch barely hanging on. We're looking really scraggly. We're also pretty suspicious because, one, we don't have a boat, and two, we're kind of like paddling through the water. And a guard boat, like pretty massive guard boat, pulls up, and they step out, and they've got like these like spear launchers. Yeah, so they're holding like these spear launcher things, and it looks to be, I guess we can roll on our species tab here, kind of see which one we got, because we did make it for this purpose. Yeah, okay, so let's roll a d8. So the guard is actually an Elidoko. So they must have stopped us. Unless they're like, yeah, they could be a Elidoko working for the Order of Holder. This is the first one we've seen this whole entire time. But yeah, so they're an Elidoko with this spear launcher. Which, I mean, they're pretty intimidating when they're unarmed. And they are completely hostile. They're like snapping their teeth in some sort of like show of dissatisfaction, like just kind of not like giant chomping, but like they're chattering their teeth angrily. And they let loose one of these spears into the water. And where it hits, it kind of like sizzles with this strange heat, like boiling the water nearby. And that's pretty freaky. I haven't seen a weapon like this. I've heard of something like, well, let's see. On evens, I've heard of this. Actually, 1, 2, I've heard of it. 3, 4, I haven't. 5, 6, I've encountered it before. Okay, so 6. Okay, I've seen these before at some point in the past. And I know that they're dangerous. So it's a sizzle spear. And one of the things about the sizzle spear is as soon as he launches it, another spear equips itself into the spear launcher, and he's kind of aiming it. He said basically that was a warning shot. So I could try to either scare them off, but I'm gonna say that they are going to make a threat against me. And we'll see where that goes. Yeah. See how they would threaten. Okay. So, so they're going to add half of their notoriety. And I'll use, I lost the spot. Should be easy to find. It was a 4 fortified base. Okay, they got +2. So we're going to just say that they're going to use +1 to try to threaten me. Well, they rolled a 1, so that's a 2. We just got to remember destination events. Okay, so 2 destination events. And we should be naming these. Side tangent. I need to get like I have a list of names. I should have gotten it out. I was thinking about it when I was reading the Mouse Ritter thing, and I was listening to Dungeon World and stuff. I know I'm kind of breaking this, but just like here, we'll call this the intermission. Just a little side note. But I want to get a list of names of characters so I can quickly name them. Instead of having to pause and try to like brainstorm and stuff. And then there's also this video I watched on naming conventions. I need to like get the name list I have and kind of get a second name list going. But yeah, anyways, sorry for the change in the dissonance of the side tangent there, but okay, intermission's over. So what are we going to call this guy? We'll call him, well, maybe he doesn't even say his name. He doesn't say his name. We'll be better about naming conventions in the future. Maybe we were talking instead of not being threatened by this person. But so how does threaten work? They have to, so we get a dice against them. Yeah. So we also rolled a 1, but we've got 4 notoriety, so half that. So we rolled a 3, they rolled a 2. So we're not scared off. So they're not as scary as they thought they were. And we start a fight. No. It's the opposite. It'd be the opposite, right? Okay, no, we start a fight with them. Golly. So we would start a fight with them and resolve the attack reaction, but we would add 1 to our die on the first roll. And we're going to pull out our laser pistol here. And I mean, we hate to be fighting the local guards, but I mean, they just shot a laser spear at us. So they kind of take a step back, even though they have the sizzle spear. And we roll our challenge die to give them a couple of warning shots. You know, we're going to blast at the sizzle spear itself. We rolled a 2. So we're going to get our 4, 5, 6, 7 versus they rolled a 4 total. So we blast them, okay? And their sizzle spear like kind of like has a couple of laser-sized holes through it, and now it's sizzling itself instead of the water it fires upon. And the Elidoko drops it and kind of growls. So I guess we get to see what happens next with our events. But yes, we just want to fight. So we just blasted most of our things. So we have to decide if we're going to crawl up there, you know, and, you know, fight them, or we're going to continue on our way and spare them. And I think we're going to spare them. So we're going to gain 1 favor. But it seems like we're sparing them. But honestly, we're just diving back under the water and swimming as fast as we can out of range, and they choose not to chase us. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go back to destinations. We need to roll on 2 destination events. So, auto reloading. It's like tri revolver spear gun with boiling hot spears. Okay, so we ended up okay. We blasted the weapon to the point of uselessness and swam away. And none of the other guards came up. They just kind of, I guess by the time they walked up, we were gone. They said, let's just get out of here. They shot my gun and disappeared. But we're obviously not on the good side of these Elidoko guards. So the Elidoko guards consider us a threat. And then let's say on a 1 or a 2, they recognize who we are, and we, have to deal with this later. We rolled a 2. Okay. They have reported us. I'm going to say that's just going to straight up give us a notoriety right now. Sending us to 5 notoriety, which may be unnecessarily speeding up the game. But in that we gained a favor and a notoriety. All right. So we are at that. We are at the Holder Gate station, or at least pretty close to it. And we don't have a ship. We've drifted back here, basically. So let's see what event. First, 5. Whoa, okay. All right. Oh, there we go. And let's roll again. Oh. Roll to 6. Okay. Something about this place feels familiar. Yeah, it does. Like you've been here before. You wander aimlessly for a while. So I got in this fight. I was pretty messed up. I mean, that was the 3rd fight in a row that we've been in. We're exhausted. We're floating around, hoping something in the water doesn't, think we're yummy looking. And we, Tuatara is kind of like, oh gosh, I think I've been here before. We're going in circles. Okay, so it's a happy. Oh, so we've been here before. Like we've been to Elidoko, or at least somewhere here. So it's a happy. There's a happy memory related to our origin. So it's not that we've necessarily been here. We have been here, like literally, because we were here earlier. But something about this place reminds us of something of our origin. And we gained a motivation. What familiar object or place do you spend some time interacting with? Okay. We have encountered a familiar thing. How do we relate to, or what is it? And relate to it. How do we spend time here? Okay. So what's our, we got to check our origin because I'm sure we wrote something down. So, okay. So we got to think positive though. So real quick, we're just going to go over, we're thinking about the past, but it's going to have a positive spin at some point here, even though we got a pretty pretty rough past here. Is there Urgle, Scoundrel, Crimbus Secundus? I mean, I got the rodeo hat. Maybe. Huh. All right. So we used to pilot a starship for Ekroth. Collusion. Tension between the rebellion of Crimbulus S. None of this is sounding like happy memories. So we're jaded. We keep to ourselves. Distrust or avoidance of the old empire. Checks out. We are paranoid about keeping everything recorded above table and surveilled. Keep the facts straight. We are blamed about the death of innocent lives. Man, none of these are happy memories. Okay. I'm gonna say it's got something to do with maybe something on Crimbulus S. So what would be similar? Crimbulus S. So let's just throw some brainstorm potential things that might be like happy memories. Maybe like some type of fruit tree. We see a familiar animal. Maybe we see some Urgles participating. How in the heck do you spell participating? Okay. Some Urgles participating in a Crimbulus S event or activity. We remember fondly. That's possible. Maybe it is scenic. Or idyllic. The nature here. Maybe it is a building, object, vehicle. Okay, that's enough. If we get a 6, we'll re-roll. We rolled a 6. Okay, so 3. So we see, okay, so we just don't recognize them yet, but we see some Urgles participating in a Crimbulus S event or activity we remember fondly. Okay, so is it like, all right, is it a game? Maybe it's a game, like a sport, art, music, theater. Maybe it's like some type of like work or labor that is like traditional and celebrated. Okay, so that's a D6 worth of stuff there. And that's a 4. And that dice is hard to read. So, okay, so they're playing some type of music. All right. Okay, so when I think of Urgles, let's go a step farther. String, like, is it like, folk music? Is it like orchestral, sort of? Is it like kind of like bluegrass? That's kind of like folk, but like a little bit more specific. Like bluegrass, they've got the harmonica, they got a fiddle, a banjo. thinking folk music, I'm thinking like I guess bluegrass would be kind of like a lip harp or something, but folk music maybe like it's like tin can string, you know, kind of cobbled instruments. And orchestral, they're pretty organized. Let's see, maybe they're kind of like you know, maybe they're like, you know, maybe acapella. Is that, did I misspell acapella? Anyways, yeah. Or maybe it's like something else. Maybe it's like I don't know. Like poetry with music in the background. Like jazz. Or something else. Something genre focused. And we'll come up with a genre. All right, let's see. 3. Okay, so they got their harmonicas, their banjos, and their fiddles. And they're just going to town. Yeah, just traditional Crimbless S bluegrass music. These Urgles, I mean, and they're just going to town. And they're kind of on this floating platform. It's like a pontoon. Ooh, dropping the mic. Man, this mic. You know, anyways, so yeah, they've got a microphone and they're singing into it. But yeah, you know, they're on a pontoon. You know, it's 2 layers. And then you got people on the bottom pontoon. So it's a double decker. I know the engine's kind of thrumming, but they're kind of integrating the engine into the music. But they got I don't know. I'll do my best harmonica. And they got the fiddle. You know, and the banjo. And they're just going to town. They're kind of like, you know, the harmonica will go on a solo and then kind of, you know, fade out. And then kind of, you know, the fiddle will kind of take over with a little solo, and then they'll kind of all play harmoniously. But yeah, you got the bottom floor. The band is going to town. And the top floor, which is covered too, so 2 covered floors. Now, you know what? I would say that the top floors with the band. And you got people out there, you know, they look like they have some sorts of beverages and stuff. And there's a lot of Urgles. I would say, like, percentage-wise, we need to get some dice. There we go. So percentage-wise, gotta have some D10s, right? If we have 1 D10, we're good. Okay, so pink is going to be the 10s place. Okay, so 66. So yeah, it's almost like more than half of them are Urgle. And we'll keep those dice out, so we have them just in case we need them. Yeah. So more than half of them are Urgles, and yeah. So they're just having a good old time. So I kind of swim over, and I'm kind of reliving my memory. I gain some motivation, and I kind of roll up there and give them a wave. Kind of startle a couple of them, like when I'm crawling onto there's like a little it's not even like a metal or a wooden ladder. It's kind of like a rope ladder that's only 1 rope with little, you know, notches or whatever. What are they called? Knots. And I kind of pull myself on. And I've been floating for probably better part of 12 hours in the water. And I just got out of 3 fights that I somehow survived. One of the fights I lost. You know, I'm cut up, still wearing the eye patch. But yeah, it's not looking too pretty. Not looking my most charming in the current scenario. Sorry, I got distracted. 1 second. Sorry about that. But anyways, yeah. So now we get to roll another event. Maybe it'll be related to that when we're on this thing now. Maybe, yeah. So what? Yeah. So we kind of talked through that a little bit. Let's see if we could kind of blend these two, or like have a transfer line. We rolled a 4. Like kind of a transfer line between these two events. So we rolled a 4. So that's going to be this section. Oh, cock to the die. Okay, we rolled a 6. Okay, so we entered a bar. Perfect. Okay, so the bar is on the bottom floor of the pontoon. And we bump into another nomad. They say, and it's ironic. It's perfect. Okay, so the pontoon is a bar, and we encounter another heat seeker bounty hunter. All right, so let's roll up who it is. This isn't the first time we've encountered them. All right, so real quick, let's roll a dice to see if it's well. We rolled it, but it didn't really roll. We're gonna roll this dice though. Okay, so they catch your eye, nod, and go on their own way. Where did you and several other nomads gather to accept your current contract? So wait a minute. They're hunting for the same person, but they don't want to get involved with us. They're probably like, damn, they're really going for it. So we're at 4 favor now. They're like, man, they're really going for it. They look like they've been through the ringer. They must be getting close. So they respectfully just kind of nod and probably go up to the second floor to listen to some music while they got a chance. But they must have been interviewing people here. So the people here, obviously he didn't like fly off in a direction. In fact, this could be his boat for all we know. Let's roll for it. Let's see. I would say we're gonna roll a D8, and on a 7 or 8, this is actually the Heatseeker Bounty Hunter's pontoon. It's a 6. So let's say that's pretty close to him, you know, it being his, you know, as far as the role goes. So let's say he knows, like, or has a relationship, like a friendship with a person who owns the pontoon. Another reason he probably didn't want to get in a fight with us, or she. Let's roll up this mercenary just to have, like, who did we meet on the pontoon? It'd be fun to roll up a character. It's been a minute since we've done so. Yeah. Let's roll one up. We need a D6. It'll be fun. It's kind of a little intermission here. And then that was our second event. So this will be kind of the last thing we do. And we'll kind of see how this went. So this was a brute. Their fearsome appearance and intimidating glare hide a feral cunning and fierce dedication to the craft. Okay, so they were a brute. Et tu, Brutus. So because we could encounter this person again at some point, not necessarily this adventure, but you know, at some point. All right, and we'll just get the necessary details. Let's do it like this. Okay, and we probably missed something, and we can roll on their species in a second out of our species list. So yeah, they probably have a laser rifle. You know, they have a laser rifle. Yeah. Heavy or rapid fire. Okay. But we don't have to record all this. We can just yeah, they gotta, and they're not even holding their hammer right now. They just got the laser rifle kind of on their back. Maybe they do have the power hammer. And so I kind of thinking it's like it's a Mjolnir shaped hammer. You know, it's kind of just like it's weird. It's just like a small hammer, but it looks like it's got like these like chip like shaped things, like computer chip things in the side of it, where something no. You don't know. Yeah, Mjolnir. There you go. Okay. It's a Mjolnir shaped hammer. And yeah. With computer chips in the sides of the metal. Yeah, so you can tell there's something going on with it. They're not wearing a helmet. I don't know what a bandolier is. Okay, so it looked like from my real brief search, a bandolier is like a cross belt that you wear on your shoulder. So that's probably what the rifle is attached to, and instead of just like a regular strap, it's actually on this bandolier, and they got their little laser charges all through it, so they can re-equip it. And it says their jumpsuit doesn't really fit too well. Yeah. Okay. So we can roll on these real quick. Let's see. And your whole life has been dedicated to pursuing victories and worship of a fickle god. Okay. So they are religious. Maybe like they believe in like, maybe it's just straight up like Valhalla, like, or a Valhalla. Maybe it's a Valhalla inspired, religion, where they like, that could be interpreted as their fickleness, like you're not worthy of Valhalla until you've died in battle as a warrior. So that might be kind of why they've taken to this field. So yeah. Let's see. That kind of fits with the whole Mjolnir thing, so that's cool. All right. They proudly wear a belt flaunting teeth, pelts, and other morbid hunting trophies. Okay. So maybe they're, what do they call it? A bandolier? Yeah, maybe they're bandolier. It's kind of creepy, but it's just got like, the little things that hold the shells are like, the eye sockets of these skulls from like people that he has not spared in his previous hunts. So it has like half skulls repurposed. How do you spell repurposed? To hold their laser gun charges, their laser rifle charges. Yeah, I still didn't. There we go. And then let's see, what's their trigger? Oh, okay, so So that might be why they kind of gave us the nod, because we have something very much in common. They lost a duel in their past, and it was like very public. Um, they lost to okay, so let's say they got in a fight with their old mentor, uh, who like brought them into the heat seekers. Okay, so brought them into the heat seeker bounty hunters, and then the mentor was upset because instead of trying their best to spare and bring in targets, the brute kept killing and turning their targets into trophies. The brute said that it was, their path of honor, and the mentor, tried to leave them to avoid confrontation. But the brute threw the power hammer. The mentor dodged and lashed out with a chain blade. Hitting the brute's leg and pulling them to the ground. Before pulling a cryo blunderbuss on them, threatening to freeze their face off. They were defeated. In the middle of the the heat seeker maybe it was like a heat seeker lounge. They haven't spoken since. Now, just to clarify, Turatara is not the mentor. Totally different person. Obviously, I mean, they use a chain blade thing, like this bladed chain, and a cryo blunderbuss. Yeah. So that's a little bit of their backstory there. 1 second. Okay. So we don't know what kind of. I don't know if we even on this. Yeah. Okay. First of all, wait a second. Yeah. So species, we have like adjacent species that they could be, like based on our world. We're gonna roll a d12 and kind of see if we need to, come up with another one to kind of make a parallel to. So 9. Lektok. I think we already have one for Mothling but that, if not, that would be Mothling. I think we end up, no. Yeah, okay, so they're a Mothling, which is kind of funny because we got robbed by a Mothling. But yeah, so their species is a Mothling. And in one of my things, like one of my stories based on, it's not a solo RPG, it's just kind of a story idea I had, but the Mothlings are like all female. I don't think that has to be true necessarily. I could roll to see if that's a thing, but they like are basically like Komodo dragons, but with like no males. Anyways, we don't have to get into the weeds with that right now, but that would make it. I mean, they're in this case they are going to be female, just in case it comes up later if we decide that's going to be the case with this, because this is me interpreting my like universe onto what it would be like in this game, you know. But I'm not gonna get too much into that right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got to figure out a name. Okay, so a brutish mothling that uses a laser rifle and like a Mjolnir hammer. Give me just 1 second. I gotta brainstorm a name real quick. We're gonna go with Gersemi. Gersemi, yeah. Gersemi, yeah. That sounds good. That's I was trying to figure out like if there was a Norse god of bugs. I got Freya because she's like got a thing for butterflies apparently, and so her daughter, one of her daughters, is Gersemi. So that's what the mothling brute is gonna be. Is Gersemi. That's what we got. Okay, so what kind of personality we're looking at? We kind of already have an idea, but we'll kind of try to see what we roll. We rolled a 1. So is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Okay, so arrogant. That actually fit perfectly to the backstory. So personality is arrogant. But maybe like despite that personality, they still are capable of, or have been like taught something by their mentor. They've learned through their arrogance. So 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6. Okay. What garish item of clothing draws attention to them? We already know that. We're gonna say that is their belt of half skulls repurposed. And I said his, assuming, but it's a her. Okay. So garish item, skull belt. There we go. So we are familiar. We've heard stories about, and we've even talked to Gersemi before. But yeah, that's who we're dealing with here. But I think I'm gonna call it for a day. I think that's everything. Yeah, and we're assuming they're going for the same target. You know, it could be like we're sent out, but there's been multiple people. You know, it's a bounty. And they don't want to tussle with somebody who's already looking like they have been diving deep for this bounty, especially since we caught them partying, basically. You know, maybe they're doing pretty good, or maybe they're gathering information because they have a friend on this boat, and maybe they don't have a hover dinghy. Not that we do anymore either. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. Yeah, so our notoriety is almost maxed out. We're certain to find another lead next time. And then if not next time, probably the time after that, run into the target finally. and we'll see if Jersemi comes up. Maybe not in this playthrough, but maybe in a future playthrough. And we did gain a motivation, which we had good use for in the previous encounter there. I'm really enjoying this game. I'm also surprised, like, looking back at like the playtime so far, just one adventure in this kind of world has been like, I guess, like almost six or like, 6.5 hours of playtime. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's still plenty more to play. Also, I lucked up and I picked up a copy of a community copy. Thank you to the developer, of Outsiders. Outsiders, yeah. Which is the expansion to Notorious. So that'll be awesome. I definitely like this format. I want to, I still have to. Just a quick chat at the end here. A little bit of inside baseball. Still haven't finished. If you're also a watcher of the tier lists videos of the Cataclysm Arcade, which that finished in Kickstarter. I think it made over $2 million on Kickstarter with over 8,000 backers. I think it's like the third highest backed trading card game on Kickstarter. So that's fantastic for them. Congrats to Brian David Marshall and his team. But I do want to, make a little bit more content about that, even though my channel has kind of moved direction. I don't want to like completely go away from like the possibility of doing videos about card games. I'm kind of a variety channel. I make videos about what I want to make, but my interest recently has gone into this. I would love to do something, not that there isn't like creativity to making content about, card games, and there's certainly ways to make it even more creative. But I think this is like an outlet that really works for me. Hopefully you're enjoying watching it. But yeah, I do want to go ahead and at least finish off that set of tier lists. And once we get to like the like level slash costs of like 5, 6, and 7, those will probably just be one video each. I'll just have to figure out how many. And no, just if you're hearing this, I have not gotten those recorded yet. And I know I kind of just been kind of going on a spree with this. But yeah. Oh, and so what are my plans after this? Obviously, I do want to finish that tier list set, because I don't want to leave a project incomplete if I can help it. Because I would be disappointed if I'm watching and then like suddenly the content creator switches projects. I gotta hurry up because I don't want this to, I don't want this to be an hour and a half video just because I wanted to rant at the end. But yeah, future projects. I could just do a channel update and say all this, but I'm just putting it here at the back of one of these videos. Obviously I want to finish this run, and kind of see where Tuatara ends up. He almost died. And I think that like if something like that happens again, if it fits the story, and like I'm not saying Tuatara's invincible. It's just like kind of I had already planned out like that fight, like the story was already pushing towards Tuatara surviving in the biker fight. So yeah, it kind of just worked out. But I'm not saying like if the option comes up again, I don't want to end the run, but we'll see if it fits the story or serves the story. Then we'll do it like that. Right now we're on this pontoon boat. We kind of got to see if we can where we get to next and how we get there, and see if maybe the brute here maybe the brute Gersemi, like we might both run into this target at the same time. So that would be quite fascinating. But yeah, so future videos I want to do, like I said, finish this series. Possibly take a little bit of time in between, like jumping back in and doing an Outsiders. Maybe play another solo game first. But one thing I want to do is with Notorious, two different ideas for videos just on Notorious. Well, like three. One would be a series, but the first one is like just a kind of review of the system. Maybe a little bit of how to play in the beginning, which could have went first, but I hadn't played the game yet. I just read through it. But that and like a review, and kind of like measuring up what aspects I liked about it, just to have as an archive to compare to other games that I play in the future. And so the audience can kind of quickly see, instead of watching a whole playthrough, if they just want one video, like, oh yeah, that's a game for me, that kind of thing. And then secondarily, kind of like all of this, and this might come out a little bit later, and it's also perspective, is the whole story condensed, maybe kind of changed, like to fit a more structured plot, turned into a kind of short story, and then gone over essentially as a summary, but more of like a summarized narrative version of this series, so it can be quickly digested. I don't know if it'll be like a 3-hour video or not, but we'll see. And maybe that'll be its own series of videos. But if it's condensed, it'll be a lot more scripted than this because it's already happened. The script has been made. So I'll just kind of go through what I have in this document, which at the moment is 14 pages. And I know I don't have everything on there. I don't have every scene and story beat on there. I'd have to kind of listen probably at a higher speed, because I've listened to so far all of the videos again just to make sure for errors and stuff, have not editing them, but just, and also kind of like trying to remember the story from last time so I can reiterate it, and kind of seeing like how it's going as far as like storytelling. And it's gotten me excited to actually turn this into something that is a little bit more structured. And obviously I would have to attribute the inspirations to Notorious. But I'm posting it on YouTube anyways, so I mean, yeah. So that'll be a cool idea. And then other games that I'm looking at, now this is not a promise, it's just kind of like what I've been thinking about. But and these are going to be a little bit harder because several of these are not solo first RPGs. They're just kind of like RPGs, so it'll do a little bit more work and kind of get them to function in the same way, which might mean Outsiders will be first. But Mouse Ritter, I just read over that literally last night, and it seems really cool, but it isn't, it isn't solo first. So, and I mean, I say like I haven't played a solo RPG. I've gotten like through Ironsworn, the space one. Ironsworn. Why can I not remember the name of the? I haven't even played the original. Starforged. Yeah, so I played through Starforged up to the point where you actually like do the action things. Those were pretty intimidating to me, so I didn't do them. But I did enjoy listening to other people play the game, and I would like to go. Okay, so I kind of went on a side tangent there, but yeah, Ironsworn Starforged, I really like the world creation part of that, which I kind of brought in some elements of that, but. And then they also say prep as play, and I tried based on, if you've heard of Earthmote, they have a minimum viable sandbox series. I'll link that in the description, which it's going to be kind of confusing if you just scroll down there and then like, when does he mention this? It's at the end of the video. But Yeah, Earth Moat has and if I remember that, added in. If not, you might have heard of Earth Moat. But I started working on something like that. For my attempt at like a solo RPG is my own little minimum viable sandbox. And they say prep is play. Solo gamer or geek gamer. Yeah, I think it's geek gamer said prep is play. Then I've heard that like reiterated before too. So yeah. So I don't want to write it on here, but those are well, I'll write it on here and then I'll erase it. Just the different ones I'm considering. So and I'll put it on a different list. But Ironsworn, Starforged, and I kind of like Mark Rosewater's Storm Count. I'll kind of do one of those. I don't know which one. I think 1 is least likely and like 10 is most likely. We'll go 1 to 5 about like basically how soon it's going to be coming to the thing, just an estimate, with 1 being it'll be a while. So this would be a 2. It's going to be a minute before I'm ready for that probably. And then, I say that just like Mark Rosewater says, oh, it's not coming back. And then they bring it in a set. It happens, just by my estimation. Outsiders, that's going to be pretty soon. Mouse Ritter, I want it to be soon. It's honestly just another 4. It could be next. But when I say Mouse Ritter, I also kind of like there's a whole bunch of these games that I'm kind of interested in. And I have access to Mouse Ritter because it's free. I just have to kind of make up. And last night I was sitting there, I was just making characters. It was a very fun process. Reminds me a lot of Cairn, which is the game I was making a minimum viable sandbox. It was kind of like a cross between Cairn and like 3.5 or like OSR D&D, because I was watching a lot of Tenkar's Tavern and Earth Moat and stuff. So it's got elements. And that's like the first RPG, not solo RPG, but RPG I ever played, was like reading the 3.5 Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide. But yeah. So, and I don't have Into the Odd. I do have Mythic Bastion Land then, though. So, it might be, I feel like Mouse Ritter is just going to be easier to play solo, and I'm a little bit more excited about it right now. Not that I'm not excited about Cairn. Mythic Bastion Land is kind of like a Starforge. I like the game. I've read through a little bit of it. It's like it was one of the first solo RPGs I read. And I was reading this thing and I was like, what is this? And it's not even a solo RPG. It's an RPG. It's old school revival, like very much like new school revival. I don't know. There's a lot of different terms and stuff, but it's like this newfangled OSR kind of thing that like Cairn and Mouse Ritter fit into. Now, I could attempt to make an explanation video of all of these and where they sit on this spectrum. Now, also the numbers are not ratings. These are just how soon I think I'll be potentially adding them to the channel's series, and I intend to make that kind of my new, format. So like step 1, a playthrough. Step 2, a review. And then step 3, like a summarized narrative retelling of the series. There we go. And then maybe like, if I'm feeling really good about it, like a documented version of that on a blog, which I do not currently. I have a blog. It's just not an active blog. So, but yeah. But this is unlikely. This is, what is it? Control-Shift-5? Control-Alt-5? Undo. What did I just do? Format. It's a lot easier to just do it this way. Yeah, but this is not... maybe if I change my mind. But these are the main goals. At least play through and then a review, and then I'll give it a rating out of 10. Or like I'll have 3 aspects, which I haven't determined yet. I did some brainstorming about like what things I'm looking for and how much it delivered. And I've read several of these games. Like, I'm familiar with RPGs. It's just the first game I actually soloed was Notorious, which excellent. I'm glad it was my first one. But from what I understand, it's more of like 1,000-year-old. Oh yeah, let me go ahead and add those too. I also have access to and it kind of confused me a lot more. 1,000-year-old vampire. That one, I'll give it a 2 as well. I want to play it, but it just seems it's a lot more challenging to grok than Notorious. And I mean, I'm into vampire stuff, but it just seemed a lot harder to kind of figure out what the heck was going on with it. Maybe the mechanics were just a bit confusing. And Notorious, to be honest, the first time I read it, it was kind of confusing too. I was like, okay, I don't really know how this is going to work. But when you start playing it, it kind of makes more sense, especially after like listening to Man Alone and, Geek Gamers and all of these different channels. They just are very helpful for kind of getting in the mindset. And then I heard it was Couch Grouch, I think is who said it. Now, if I'm misquoting you, I'm sorry. But I think they mentioned that, like, they were talking about the guy who does Index Card RPG, which they're like, oh gosh, what are they called? Is it Stonehammer? Sorry, it's Runehammer. My bad. But yeah, the guy who does Runehammer on YouTube and makes the games and stuff, he made Bent Wizards, which is really interested in getting that. I don't have that. But yeah, that's kind of how to make your own RPG. And he mentioned that, like, at the beginning of the book, it says, like, thinking about the thing. And I definitely, that kind of resonates with me as, like, trying to understand how to understand a solo RPG. It's both simple and complex on the surface. It's kind of like, okay, so yeah, you just do the thing. How? So, yeah. Well, I got to stop ranting. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did make it almost to an hour and a half. But yeah, that's just everything that's kind of on my mind right now. So these are, 6 games. I guess I could just try regular Ironsworn too. Maybe that would be easier before. I also got, like, it's the Ironsworn. It's not Starforged, but it's something kind of in between. And then, like, there's basic fantasy and all these. But I think I would want to start with Cairn. I actually really want to start with Mouse Ritter. That's probably the next one I'm going to try. If not Outsiders. Definitely one of these 2 will probably be next. And then maybe something else will pop up, or I'll, like, read another manual and be like, ooh, I got to try this now. So we'll see how that goes. But those are kind of like the ones that I have as options. There's another one, but I think it's like something to be added on. Also, that's kind of another thing. I don't want to go on another rant, but that's another thing about these games is, like, you have kind of these journaling games, like these 2, and Outsiders and Notorious. I don't know about Outsiders. I haven't read it yet, but Notorious is kind of a journaling game, but it's also, it doesn't have to be, which I think is kind of weird because it feels like, I don't know, it just really it's very, like, prompt based. It gives you these prompts and you kind of work out what happened. And I know Karen is supposed to be very narrative driven too. And I imagine Mouse Ritter can be. Ironsworn is its own beast. I just these two, these are the farthest away from me as far as they are so confusing. And honestly, this is confusing too, just in the journaling direction. But this is just, it's so cool, but it's so heavy. It's just like so much is happening in Mythic Bastionland. It's just like, I get it. Arthurian legend. There's a lot. There's a lot going into this game that's just like, it's very unique, very cool. I think they made Into the Odd too, the people that made Mythic Bastionland. But anyways, yeah, so Mouse Ritter, Notorious, and Outsiders are kind of on the radar. I got to kind of figure out, because it's like, it was really fun to make the characters for Mouse Ritter. And I might not go as, and I don't want to call it deep, but like how I did with Notorious, how I just kind of like made up my own characters and stuff. I might just tell a story with the Mouse Ritter stuff that it has. Maybe I'll make a couple of custom, things for it, see how that goes. Just to kind of have like my own little lists and events and stuff. I'm gonna kind of like just at the beginning or the first run through, kind of mostly use their stuff and use that as like kind of off ramp. There we go. Well, thank you for listening, and talk to you soon.